This is player 4's hand. These are the pairs of player 4's hand. This player only had 2 pairs. And these are the rest that's left in his hand, in the player's hand. Player 1 draws a card from player 2's hand. There's no pair, so player 1 puts the card in his hand. This is player 2's hand. Player 2 chooses to draw a card from player 4. There's no pair made. This is player 3's hand. Player 3 chooses to draw a card from player 2's hand. Player 3 makes a pair, St. James Elphius. So the player gets to put them in his deck. And player gets to choose another card. Player 3 chooses to draw a card from player 1. St. Thomas. Player didn't make a pair, so player puts the card in his hand. This is player 4's hand. Player 4 chooses to take a card from player 1's hand. St. Simon Zealot. So player 4 makes a pair and he gets to go again. So player 4 chooses to take another card from player 1. From player 2. St. Peter Biker. So player 4 makes another pair. Player 4 chooses to take another card from player 3. St. Thomas. Player makes another pair. Player chooses to take another card from player 1. And player doesn't make a pair. So the players continue like this until all the pairs are on the board. So there's no pairs left, only the old man card. So all the pairs have been picked. Player 1 got caught with the old man card, so he's got to count this player has to count all their points, their talents. He's got 1, 10, 20, 30, and 34. So 34 plus the old man card is 35. So the player with the most talents gets these 35 talents from the old man. After they count all their talents and find out which one's got the most, they'll get 35 talents from player 1. Player 2 has 10, 20, 23, 26, 28, 30, 34, and the Immaculate Heart. So if player 2 has the most talents, after everyone counts up their talents, they'll get all of the 35 talents, plus that player will get to double their talents. So that's 34 for player 2. Player 3 has 10, 20, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 48, 50, 50. So player 3 has 50 talents. Player 4 is 5, 10, 20, 23, 26, 30, 34 talents, same as player 1, and the Sacred Heart. So player 3 with the most talents, 50, receives all player 1's talents, which is 35, which equals 85 talents for player 3. Player 2 had 34 talents, plus the Immaculate Heart equals 64. Player 4 has 34 talents, and the Sacred Heart, which doubles to 64, so they both have 64 talents. And player 3 wins with 85 talents. So player 3 receives the 10 talents. If the rest of the players would like to know how many talents they won, player 3 divides his 10 talents by the amount of talents he had, 85, equals 8.5 talents for all the rest of the players to divide their talents by. So player 2 has 64 talents. And if you want to keep it simple, you can divide it by 8 instead of 8.5 or 8.9 or whatever it would have come out to. But it came out to 8.5, so to keep it simple, they can divide it by 8. So player 2 has 64 talents after doubling them, and that equals that player would have 8 talents. Player 3 had 64 talents too after doubling it with the Sacred Heart. So that would be 8 talents for that player too. Both those players would receive 8 talents. And it'd be the same if there were a player who received a total of 34 talents. That player would receive 4 talents. And that's how you would know how many talents each person has. The person who has the most receives 10 talents, and they divide how many they have, the total amount of their talents, by 10. And whatever the number comes out to, that's what the other players divide their numbers by. But to keep it simple, they can drop off any percentage points and make the game be a lot simpler for children. 8 and 9 and 10 and 7, I think, could play the game too. Thank you.